Today, we're going to talk about Ayọ Tometi, the global face of modern black resistance. Every generation produces a few people who don't just respond to injustice, they reframe how resistance itself looks. Ayọ Tometi is one of those people, and depending on who you ask, she, she's either a hero or a disruptor, or someone the system would really prefer you do not understand properly. So let's talk about her. No slogan, not headlines, but the idea behind the person. So who is Ayọ Tometi? Really? Ayọ Tometi is best known as one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter. But if you stop there, you miss the point. Because Black Lives Matter didn't start as a political party, it started as a moral interruption. Ayọ wasn't born into comfort or illusion. She's the daughter of a Nigerian immigrant, raised with a deep awareness of displacement, black identity across borders, what it means to exist inside a system that profits from your vulnerability. And that's important because unlike many American activists before her, Ayọ worldview is not limited to America, she thinks globally. And what does she actually believe? Let me simplify her philosophy. Ayọ Tometi believes that racism is not accidental. Police violence is not a few bad apples. Immigration systems are racialized. Capitalism and race are deeply linked. But here's the key difference. She doesn't frame black struggles as only an American issue. She frames it as a structural, global, and inherited. That's where she departs from older civil rights model. And how does she compare with Martin Luther Jr.? Let's be honest. Martin Luther King Jr. believed the system could be redeemed through moral pressure and integration. Ayọ Tometi is not operating in that space. She is closer to saying this system is working exactly as designed. King appealed to the conscience of America. Ayọ challenges its foundation. That doesn't make one right and the other wrong. It shows different historical moments. King was speaking to a nation that still pretends to be innocent. Ayọ is speaking to a nation that can no longer deny the evidence. And how does she compare with Malcolm? Now, if you want a closer comparison, look at Malcolm. Like Malcolm, Ayọ is an apologetic. She doesn't beg for inclusion. She centers black dignity, not approval. She understands power, not just morality. But here's where she differs. Malcolm was focused primarily on black Americans. Ayọ framework includes African immigrants, undocumented immigrants, black people trapped in border politics, global blackness. She expands the struggle beyond one passport. And how does she fare with Steve Biko? Steve Biko said the most potent weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Ayọ Tometi is saying the most effective oppression today is normalized violence, police brutality, detention centers, border death, and media framing. Biko attacks psychological colonization. Ayọ attacks institutional normalization. Both are dangerous to power because they remove excuses. How does she make people uncomfortable? Let's talk about the backlash. Black Lives Matter didn't just make racist angry, it made moderates uncomfortable, liberals defensive, corporations nervous, politicians cautious. Why? Ayọ and others didn't ask politely. They disrupted, they interrupted, they forced conversation people didn't want. And history shows us something. Every effective movement is called too radical before it's later called necessary. Comparing Ayọ to other global activists, let's widen the lens. Frantz Fanon diagnosed the psychological effects of colonization. Ayọ diagnosis is modern bureaucratic form. Thomas Sankara spoke about economic self-reliance. Ayọ speak about economic inclusion through race and borders. Angela Davis connected race, prison, and capitalism. Ayọ continues that tradition with modern tools and platforms. She's not inventing resistance, she's updating. And how does the media plays in all this? Here's something many people miss. Ayọ operates in an age of visibility. Police violence can no longer hide behind reports. Phone exposes what the power uses to conceal. Phones exposes what power used to conceal. But invisibility cuts both ways. Movements can be misrepresented, diluted, commercialized, reduced to hashtags. And Ayọ understands that tension. That's why she keeps insisting Black Lives Matter is not a brand, it's a demand. So what's the criticism in all this? Now, to be credible, we must address criticism. Some argues Black Lives Matter lacks clear leadership. It doesn't translate into policy fast enough. It creates backlash. These critiques are not meaningless, but here's the counter question. Did the civil rights movement succeed overnight? Did apartheid fall without chaos? Did colonialism end politely? Discomfort is not failure. It's evidence of oppression. And what makes Ayọ interesting? Ayọ is not just reacting to violence. She's challenging whose life is considered disposable. Police violence, migrant detention, refugee death, same logic, different uniforms. That's a global argument. That's why her ideas travel. And what are the questions she forces us to ask? Why do some deaths become headlines while others become statistics? Why does safety mean force for some and fear for others? Ayọ Tometi doesn't give easy answers. She removes comfortable lies. And how does this matter to Africans and the diaspora? For African audiences, this matters deeply because the same system that police black bodies in America exploit migrants in Europe, destabilize African economies, are connected. Ayọ understands the black struggle is not fragmented, it's linked. Now we need to figure out what we have actually gathered, or something which we're going to be able to take home. Ayọ Tometi is not dangerous because she shouts. She's dangerous because she connects the dots. And systems don't fear anger, they fear understanding. Just like Steve Biko, just like Malcolm X, just like Fanon. Different elements, but same threat. The question is not whether you agree with Ayọ Tometi. The real question is, why does the conversation make people so uncomfortable? Because discomfort is often the sound of truth, not. If you like this, don't